So you taught history.
Yeah.
Why history? What's it about history that's grabbed your attention? Why is it a passion for you?
It's because I want to know things. I want to know what happened in the past. I want to know how it affected people then and how it even affects us today. You know, the little bits we had in our readers in Jamaica, you know, with Cromwell sending Venables to the Caribbean to take, I think, Puerto Rico, which was really smaller than Jamaica, but was, I think they were probably, the English were probably mistaken by the term Puerto Rico rich port, which it really wasn't. And they were, in any case, they were beaten off, and then they went to what we now call the Dominican Republic, and they couldn't. And then they tried Cuba, and Cuba was well fortified because. And they thought, oh, what do we do? I thought, I tell you what, let's try the next island, which is Jamaica, south of Cuba, and which the Spaniards didn't really care very much about. It was sort of supply island for the Greater Antilles, as they call them, Cuba, San Domingo, and Puerto Rico. They, you know, swear they would get their beeves and you know, and even agricultural products and so on. They still had a lot of Arawak Indians still living there, and there was hardly any slavery wasn't important to them because they weren't really doing it, any large-scale cultivation of sugar cane and that sort of thing. They weren't doing that. And it really fascinated me how this fear of coming back to England facing Cromwell empty-handed. They came back and said, well, you know, we couldn't capture the other islands, but we captured Jamaica. and from then it played a very significant part in the building of the British Caribbean colonies. Barbados, as far as things are, older than Jamaica as a British colony, and was prospering in sugarcane and so on. And then, you know, so I like to watch the progression of things up. And, you know, I know that to the historian that is probably just a small step, but it's the sort of thing I wanted to do.
Yeah, it's an important thing.
Yeah.
It's an important step. But seeing that you're saying that you're passionate about history, and you seem to have quite a good grasp of it in that particular area, what do you know about 1914? Where were you in 1914?
Well, my mother was 6 at the time. Okay. I can't tell where I was at the time. Whether I blame my father or my mother. I don't know which one to be blamed. But she was only 6 at the time.
Did any members of your family were involved in that conflict at that time?
No. My grandfather went to Panama, as most of males at the time, the early part of the 20th century, would either have gone to Cuba, Panama, or even Costa Rica, banana industry on that part of the isthmus. No, but I always remember years later, even after the Second World War, I mean, going to the newly built university in Jamaica, which was the University of the West Indies, and super hospital that they had. I went with my grandmother there, and an old man engaged me in conversation, and he was telling me about the First World War. His contingent went to the Middle East, and he proudly told me, "Young man, I stooped down and drank from the River Jordan." He didn't actually tell me about the fighting or whatever he did, but the fact that he actually drank from the River Jordan, you know, I suppose it had something to do with his Christian faith and all that. I always remember that. But no close. But one of the headmasters that really I tried to model myself wanting to teach, Williams, he told us the story about, he was a 20-year-old or so going to micro-training college, and when the war broke out, a group of these trainee teachers decided that they wanted to join the contingent to fight in Europe for Britannia. And one of the things they did, the English were mainly stationed at a place, would you believe, with the name of Newcastle, and it was up in the hills, and pretty Jamaican standard, pretty cold of air, which means that, you know, you'd probably take your shirt off or so on, but for Jamaica it was cold. And one of the things they did, I suppose, to test their attitude for the tough life that a soldier would have, they would come out and they would throw blankets, and obviously it's the toughest guys who would get the blankets. And he didn't get one, so that taught him a lesson. But, and he went back to his college, micro training college. It was a very, and this sort of show you my interest in history. Lady Michael, who lived in Jamaica in the 18th century, 18th to 19th century, I suppose, and had a fortune. The fortune would go to her nephew if our nephew would marry our niece. So it stayed in the family. But neither our niece or our nephew were romantically attached to each other. They wouldn't. So the next choice is that the money would go to found a college. And it founded the micro training college to teach mainly male teachers in those days, but I suppose these days all teachers, I should think. The thing that the men would go to Michael and the girls would go to Shortwoods, but I think nowadays it's unisex.